Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of this week's releases on themusic.com.au. I'm your host Neil Griffiths. To help me run through some of the week's best albums is Melbourne's online editor Jessica Dale. Jess, welcome back for, I want to say episode 6. I don't know why we pretend this is like an ongoing series. It's just a weekly thing, all right? Welcome back.
Thank you, Neil. How are you?
Good. How do you like my washed up face? This is the face of a man who is meant to be on leave and celebrated his birthday on the weekend and is still very washed up.
Neil, lovely as always, you know.
That is not what you said off camera, but I appreciate the gesture anyway. Jess, I had to come back this week because it is arguably the biggest week of album releases since we kicked off this series. So let's get straight into it. Number one off the bat is a little indie band called Guerrillas. Ever heard of them? Their new album, Song Machine, Season 1, Strange Time, is out. Jess, why is it one of our favourites this week?
Neil, how could it not be one of our favourites this week? It is huge. Just in collaborations alone, so they've got Robert Smith, Beck, Elton John, St. Vincent, and that's just like the very, very start of the collabs that they have there. It's their first album since 2018. We fell in love with it straight away. They dropped that surprise track with Slaves and Slow Tie earlier in the year, and it just, the whole office was buzzing on it straight away. And yeah, I think I actually learnt this morning too, which is a very fun fact, but they hold the Guinness World Record for the planet's most successful virtual act. So I think they'll follow that up nicely.
How do you prove that?
How many other virtual acts do you know?
Yeah, fair point, I guess. Well done, Guerrillas.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mentioned this is a big week for releases. It doesn't get bigger than the boss. Bruce Springsteen is back with Letter to You. Jess, you have a little story about a little run-in with the boss.
I do, Neil. So last week I was actually asked to be on a Zoom call with Mr. Bruce Springsteen, which is just probably the most ridiculous thing that's ever happened in my whole life. So we got to hear a little bit about the album called Letter to You. It's this beautiful album. It feels a bit like this melding of all his work over the last few years, the Springsteen on Broadway show, the Born to Run book. He's really thrown back to his early days as a young musician and looking back to his early bands and kind of the influence that they've had on his life. And it's just, I think, one of his best works. It's really beautiful, really engaging, and just a super, super honest, lovely write.
And more importantly, are you and Bruce now best friends?
Well, I mean, Neil, you're my best friend, but I will put Bruce in second spot for you.
Good answer, Jess. And he'll be on next episode to help us run through the album releases. That's not true. I'm going to take that back immediately. Album of the week, we had to go local to show some love to Australian music, especially during the pandemic. We've given the nod this week to Ballpark Music with their self-titled album, Ballpark Music. Jess, why is it album of the week?
Well, Ballpark Music has this huge fan base, and it is for a damn good reason. It's their self-titled album. It's a great listen. I came to Ballpark Music a little bit late, and it was really their song, Hands Off My Body, that really sold me off their last album. And I think this has kind of got a bit of that energy carrying through to it. They recorded it all themselves, produced it all themselves, as they normally do in their studio in Brisbane over a couple of years, and just a really great listen.
Yeah, and they kick off their residency in Brisbane this week. I think it's, 8 sold-out shows?
Yeah, it's massive. Yeah. And people just love them.
Yeah, it's good to have the guys back on stage. So check out that album when you can. Now we move on to the speed round. Jess, we like to give a shout-out to 3 records that we love, can't waffle on too much about. So we'll get into it. They're all actually EPs this week. So, Jess, are you ready for the rundown?
Ready to go, Neil.
And we're going to start with the one with the longest album title possible. Jack Davies and the Bush Shooks with Songs for a Long Walk.
I just can't get it off of Jack Davies and the Bush Shooks. They are just so lovely. He just writes such beautiful music, so honest, really beautiful, beautiful songs, and you will want to go for a long walk so you can listen to it all.
Hands Like Houses with their self-titled EP, Hands Like Houses.
This is a super exciting one. They actually just got picked up to be a part of the AFL finals campaign. So that's a really great market for them to be heading into, and I think going to do great things for them. Yeah,
they also did a studio diary for themusic.com.au. If you head over to the website and check it all out there. And lastly, teenage girls around the world will scream at this one. Ruel, Bright Lights, Red Eyes.
So this is his third EP, and he's only just about to turn 18. He's already an ARIA winner, and for a damn good reason, Neil. This EP is going to be huge for him.
That's so depressing. Like, when I was 18, I transitioned from working at Blockbuster to event cinemas. That was the highlight of my life. And this kid's released his third EP. So it's a great EP, though.
Yeah, it is. It's brilliant.
All right, check out all those EPs and albums. And lastly, one more thing, Jess. My notes here say Record Store Day. Tell us all about it. I think it's the last installment, isn't it?
It is the last installment for 2020. Obviously, we have the 3 different Record Store days. Get out there if you can, if you're not in Melbourne, and support your local record stores. If you are in Melbourne, order online, do a click and collect. Some really exciting releases. There's stuff from The Church, Grateful Dead, Snoop Dogg, Lemonheads, Polish Club, and so much more. And there's also the re-release of the Austin Powers soundtrack from a couple of the albums, including the Gold Member one, which I'm sure Beyonce does not regret at all. So,
really? Like all 3 movies vinyls?
Well, I know The Spy Who Shagged Me and Gold Member, and I think
what is what is even on The Spy Who Shagged Me? All I can think of is I can't even think of a song from that movie.
Which is the one with there was one with Beautiful Stranger.
I think that's the second one. Yeah.
My Generation. What else is there? I don't know, Neil. We're gonna have to look into it.
I'm getting it. You sold me. I
didn't
know it was a thing. I'm definitely getting it.
Yeah, for sure.
Jess, thank you so much for joining us again. If you like this week's releases videos, head over to the Delivered Live YouTube page, deliveredlive.com.au, and check out a few of the videos from the past weeks, or head to the Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube of themusic.com.au. We'll be back to do it all again next week. Thank you, Jess. I'll see you then.
Thanks, Neil.